Hello, I'm Chris, this is Gross Models, and this is part 2 of my continuing build of the Star Wars Rogue One U-Wing Starfighter. And in this part, I'm once again going to not build the U-Wing Starfighter. Last time I did the combat assault tanks, and this time I'm going to do the TIE Striker. It's just the way the build sort of seems to have come together for me this time. Normally I'd sort of do the building of a kit and then the painting and then weathering and things like that, but this time around I've done it a bit differently. So part 1, if you missed it, go and watch it. It's worth watching. I did the 2 combat assault tanks. I say full build, paint and weather to a degree. So that's those done. This time, as I say, I'm going to do the TIE Striker, which is another relatively quick, easy, short build to get me back into the mood for doing the Y-Wing. U-Wing, not a Y-Wing, U-Wing. Looks like a Y, but it's a U. The instructions for the tanks was that page, or that 3/4 of a page. The instructions for the TIE Striker is a page. And again, obviously the painting on this is pretty easy. My plan for this is to, as ever, I'll get the parts off the sprue, build it on camera for you, and then paint it. I'm going to be priming it in black, and then basically I'm going to be masking off the black on the wings to leave that as the base coat, the primer, and then painting in the grey. Maybe a little detail work on the windows and the guns and the engines, that sort of thing, but pretty much it's an easy build, it's a quick build. Doesn't necessarily mean it's going to be a quick video, because you know how my videos go. I mean, look at this, I've not done anything and we've already been 2 minutes, so you know. Right, I'm gonna, as ever, as I say, get the parts off the sprue and go from there. The main wings themselves are a decent size for a 144 kit. That's pretty big, considering the tanks were only that big. So they're quite substantial. So I'm going to get the, what we got, 2, 4, 6, 8, 10 pieces or so off the kit, off the sprue, ready to go, ready for priming. So I'll see you in a moment. Not a bad guess, there are actually 12 pieces. So yeah, pretty easy build this. I'm going to build most of it and then prime and paint in one piece. We've obviously got the 2 bits of the body, which, as with pretty much all things Bandai, they go together without any issues, any problems at all, and there's quite a lot of surprising detail on these kits. So that's that. On the front and the back, we've obviously got these bits. Now, without even paying too much attention to the instructions, things only go together one way, so it's almost, you don't need to worry about instructions, because everything's just lovely. It all just goes together nicely. There's no bits to worry about. Everything's sort of keyed in, only goes one way. Minimum cleanup on any, well, the only cleanup on any of the kits basically is anything you've done yourself. So when you've cut it off the sprue, say if you leave a nub, you need to tidy that up a little bit, but that's absolutely it. So what have we got? These go on there. This is the one bit that's moderately tricky. You can't put that on until you've got the wings done. The gun bit can go on the front there though, which just goes in there. We've got the one hole for mounting on a stand, or however. I'm going to be doing a small diorama with these as sort of an end episode, as it were, so I'm not going to be worrying about that quite yet. The only bit to note cutting these off the sprues is these 2 pieces, which are functionally identical but mirrors of each other, are undergated. So basically they don't, these bits don't have any nubs on them, it's on the bottom. So and these are, yeah, they're even done differently, so you can't get them the wrong way around. There's one circular piece here with bits sticking out the bottom on that, sticking out the top on that, so it'll only go on to one wing. That one won't fit on there, it will only fit on there. and these need to be put on first, like that, and then basically that fits into there before that goes onto there, and then you have got the articulation in the wings. But for ease of painting, I'm going to be not putting that on there quite yet, so I will have the 2 wings to do and 2 parts of the body to paint, so that's nice and easy. I'm going to prime these all in the black, as I say, and then mask off most of that and do the grey, and do these in the grey, and then the detail on the front and the back. So easy. I'll get them primed in black now, and then we'll be good to go with some masking. So I'll come back and show you that when that's done. Basically they'll look the same, but they'll be black. I'm going to use the normal UMP, not the gloss black. I'll be using the matte black because I don't want these to be too shiny, I think. I'll try one and see what I think. Might try the other one on the other and mix and match, but no, they're more of a matte finish, so no, I will be using the normal black, not the gloss. So I'll see you when they're black. So after the black primer, they've come out quite nice. The detail is actually much more apparent than it was before. Not that it was bad before, but you can definitely see stuff now. So what I'm going to do next is put aside those 2 bits. Let's just pop that on there for the time being, just to keep it all together. I'm not pushing it all the way home, just to get it out of the way. And we'll be looking at the 2 wings. Now, the middle piece of these I'm perfectly happy to leave in that black. That looks nice, it's fine, not a problem. The bit that isn't primed is going to be on the inside anyway, so I'm not worried about that either. But what I do need to do is do the outside, and indeed the body, in the grey. So I don't want to do the middle bit in grey, so masking. Masking is your friend. Using Tamiya masking tape, what I'm going to do is put some down there. Now obviously the bit with the perforation is pretty much no good. What I'm going to do is initially just get rid of that, and then now I'm going to obviously need to mask all the way across, so I'm going to get rid of that from the other end as well. What I'm going to do initially is just cut this into strips. Now using a tiny pair of tweezers, what I need to do is cover the bit that I don't want to paint. That's the way masking works. I'm sure you're all aware of how masking works, but you know, there you go. Now looking at this more closely, there's an inside bit, another inside bit, a couple of different finishes to it. So I want quite a thick grey inside bit. It's just that middle panel that I don't want grey. So what I'm doing is sticking this down just to cover that, making sure it is actually stuck down. And basically I'm just going to use the tape to build up the shape. Obviously a big bit there, that end isn't perfectly straight, but I'm using it in bits, so it's probably going to be straight enough. What I'm actually going to do is just cut that in middle and use the top bit, which I know is the perfectly straight edge because that's the sort of factory edge, to go over the other side over here. Maybe that's a little bit too long actually for what I'm intending to do there, because I don't want to go over where I don't need it to go. So I'm going to go right up close to that corner but not all the way in, and then put that down. Doesn't matter if you've got 2 layers of tape, but obviously you need it to cover where you need it to cover. And then I'm going to use that bit that I cut off to get into that corner in there that does appear to be a right angle. Although maybe it's not quite a right angle. No, that's going to have to be a unique corner on that. So for a unique corner, let's do that and then show you what's what. I'm going to cut that in half. Oh, and fold it up a bit. I'm going to use this corner as the important bit. So I'm going to go and use that edge on that edge, and not matter that it's leaving a little gap in this top corner, as long as that goes into the corner, because then I'm going to be using that edge to go that way and overlap in the middle. Get rid of that so I can manoeuvre it around a little bit more and get that corner into that corner as well. And then that gives us that unique corner. I'm going to do that on all of the corners on both sides of both wings, but don't worry, I'm not going to do it all here now. Well, I'm going to do it here now, but I'm not going to film it all because you don't need to see all of that. That's it for that. The other bit has got a couple of different colours for the framework around there, but not the actual windows themselves, and there are a couple of other bits on there that are in a different grey. But I'm going to brush paint those because there's no point in masking for just those little bits. So I'll be doing that on camera afterwards. So I'm going to get these masked up and then sprayed in the grey. I'm going to use the Vallejo Model Air light grey because it's quite a nice light grey, and putting it over the black will make it a little bit darker anyway. So I'm going to get all that done off camera and then come back when it's grey, when that's grey, for brush painting on that bit. And then we're almost there. I'll say the assembly is just snapping it together. Yeah, so see you soon. That's them in the grey. We'll see how it goes. Obviously that's only loosely fitted because the wings need to go on there as well. Let's see how they look. Hopefully there's going to be nice unblemished black middle pieces in the middle here. It's probably going to take a little while to get all the masking off because it's all little bits, but we'll see. Actually, that's not too bad at all. I'm quite happy with that. A little bit around the edge there, but that'll soon be filled in with some weathering and stuff. So yeah, if all the other panels come off like that, I'll be a very happy little person. Yeah, that's exactly what I was going for. The grey looks quite good with the black. So yeah, I'm happy with that. Now, the other bits of the ship, the main body, has got some darker bits to go in around here. These bits here, and a couple of other bits on the top and the edges and that. I'm going to see how the waterside decals go on there, because they're obviously are available for that. There's these with the edge pieces built into it, and other bits around that go on there. The unusual shapes are going to be much easier to use a decal on and see, and the decals on Bandai kits are normally very good, so I'm not expecting there to be any problems with those. The size and the fit are always, well, previously have always been exceptional, and for some reason I keep picking the wrong side of this that's just edges rather than the one that goes underneath, so I can actually get a big chunk of it off. But I'm not going to bore you with removing all of this. I'm just getting this second one off so we can see if that other one works just as well as the first, and it does. I'm obviously getting better at masking. Quite happy with that. So I'll get all of this demasked and then we'll see how the decals go. See you in a minute. Well, I've touched up the interior black in a couple of places just to give me a nice sharper line across there, so everything's good, going good so far. What I'm going to do now is actually finish the assembly. It's really a simple matter of just popping the wings on like that, both sides obviously, and getting them in the right place on there. And then the top piece will only go in one way because of the little bits there. Oh, let me just adjust the focus there a touch. There we go, because I'm up higher than I was before. Getting the tags the right way around, so you've got the U-shaped bit and the T-shaped bit. Obviously the front and the back. And they just push in, and that is the build completed. The wings have got some movement to them. I don't know if that's for, you know, anything in particular, but I do need to have them upwards somewhat for doing some decal work, which is the next stage. I've just cut off the decals that I need for the tie striker, Basically we've got 17, 18, 27, 26, 29, 30 and 28, 26 is the little one at the top there. We've got, I'd say, 3 of them on the front, basically the middle piece and the 2 edge, the cockpit and the surrounds. On the top we've got the front and the back bits, and on the back just the 2 little engine bits. So nice and easy. I'm going to start with hopefully an easy one. Might as well do the top as soon as I've got the camera set for that. So I'm just using, I'm sure you've all done decals before, just soaking those in a little bit of water, and then pretty much that's it. I'm going to move the other ones out of the way so I don't get them wet while I'm doing it. It takes them a few seconds just to loosen off. While that's happening, I'm going to use some microset on the areas that I'm going to be putting them. Basically just covering over there and there, and then with the decals the right way round, that one goes at the back. So basically just holding the paper in place and sliding that off. Let me come this way a touch, about there. I think that's probably the best place. I can slide that, hopefully it says, not been able to slide it. That's not moving. Why is that not moving yet? Didn't leave it long enough in the water maybe. Let's try again. This water is actually a bit cold. I should have been using some slightly warmer water, makes it respond a little bit quicker. The numbers are working, they're moving. Let's see. There you go, that one's moving around. And there's that one going as well. Right. So we'll get that towards the edge of the paper. And basically just slide it off into the right place or thereabouts, and then using the flats of the tweezers there, or indeed a paintbrush, you can move it and get it into the right place. As I say, the decals on these are really nice, and masking and painting the little details like that would be quite a pain, so I'm just as happy to use the supplied decals for that than trying to mess around. Now I'm just going to try and get these the right way around. Yeah, that goes just to there. Get rid of that bit of paper, don't need that anymore. And then I can just tease that into the place that it needs to go. Once the micro set has set and sort of flashed off, I can use some microsol just to bed it down and get it around the curves even nicer. So that's that detail work. I'll get the other decals on. The one on the front is going to be more fun. It might not work, but we'll see. And when that's done, we'll be ready for a little bit of light weathering. So, see you soon. That's all the decals on, and I've gone over them with the microset and microsol. In fact, I meant microsol. I always get the names of them two confused. But I'm going to give them another coat and let that dry, because it does help it bed in that last little bit. So I'm pretty much just covering them all with a generous lathering of microsol. In fact, as Ted might say, actually, I'll cut in Ted's video here. As Ted would say, I'm going to slap it on. There you go. Thanks, Ted. Right, I'm going to get these in. I'm just covering all of them now, making sure I'm getting it all, even that little white one on the side there. And then I'm going to put the lid back on the microsol because I don't want to knock it over. I'm just going to be using the brush just to sort of push them in. It sort of wrecks the brush a little bit, but it's not an expensive brush that I'm using. And this will just push them into and cover them over any little lumps and detail on there. Let's move these up out of the way so we can see what we're doing underneath them, especially these bits that are quite detail rich underneath. It's probably going to need another coat underneath there as well. So yeah, let's get that on there. Now the canopy bit has come out really well. I'm happy with how that's coming. It's neater than it would have been if I'd have tried painting it. I've got it lined up just about right over the recesses. What I'm going to do when this is finished and I'm happy with it, I'm going to go over the inset bits, the windows, with some of the gloss Nuln Oil, just to give it that black sort of window look. So that's that for this another bit. I'll leave them to dry again and then come back in, do it again, and then a little bit of weathering and we'll be done. So see you soon. That's about as good as the decals are going to get, which is pretty good. I'm not unhappy with how they've come out at all. As I say, what I'm going to do is some Nuln Oil gloss, which is a shiny shade. It's black but not quite solid black. No other way to describe it. I'll put some on and you can see. Basically I'm going to just cover the window parts. As they're all raised detail, I can basically just put a blob of paint in each one and it will conform to the shape that I need it without going over the edges, without me doing any real work. I'll probably need to do another coat of this afterwards, depending on how it dries basically, but just making sure I can get onto all of the edges of those, a little bit more in the middle there. So that's that for now. I'll let that dry while it's sitting upright like that, and we'll see how it looks once it's dried. But that's pretty much the effects I'm going for. So it's like a shiny mirrory glass but dark. I need to do a little bit of detail work on the engines as well, just some wear, and obviously these little laser pointy things at the top as well, just a little bit of highlighting and detail work on those, and then that will be pretty much it. A little bit of light weathering on all of it, so I'll come back and see how it looks once I've done a little bit more. All the decals are on and bedded down nicely. I've done the Nuln Oil wash inside the canopy there. That's looking quite good. What I'm going to do now is add some darker grey using some what is it? It's medium gunship grey, just as a couple of detail areas, like the laser bits here, just to make them pop a little bit as being different and not the normal hull detail. The bits on the front there as well, just the very tips. I'm assuming these are some sort of lasers. I don't know that we see them actually fire as such in the film, but so they're not going to be very apparent, but just a little bit, just to break up the basic grey of all of it. I'm going to do a little bit around the engine here as well. Perhaps these little panels, just to break it up a little bit and so give a bit of interest. I'm going to be adding a darker red to the very central piece in there as well, that obviously definitely is an engine. Just see if I can get around here a little bit more, trying to just touch each panel. Not so much painting as just leaving a little residue of paint, enough to be a visual cue that there's something different going on there, but not really, you know, too much about what. So I say, I'll be giving it all a light wash as well, which I'll do in a bit, Just going to add a couple more detail bits in there and get that dark red in there as well, so I'll show you when I get to the wash. That's all dried now, so I've got little bits of detail on the gun bits. The last thing to do is just a little bit of general weathering. I'm just going to use a black wash from the Vallejo Mecha colour range, and just basically getting a chunk of it on a brush, getting some of it off because it's quite thick, and basically just covering everything with a little bit of black. Obviously most of the insides bit of this is black anyway, so I can start off there and sort of work my way out and just get some coverage over the wings and indeed the body itself, just to dirty it all up a bit, and then I can go in and remove a lot of this. Anyway, not so much removal to go on obviously inside the engines and things like that, but basically it just gives everything a covering and makes it all look a bit used and grimy, because that's what Star Wars is all about. It's all a used environment. So once that's on there, I'm then should have prepared, but you know me, I can't prepare too well. I'm going to get a Q-tip out, which is conveniently tucked away in a drawer next to where the camera is mounted, so that'll be throwing those around as well. Just using a cotton bud, just sort of wiping off the worst of what I put on, really, so it leaves it in the recesses while it removes it from the higher levels, as it would, not so much build up on raised areas because it would get wiped off. So that's pretty much that. I'll do that on the rest of the ship, and then that's pretty much it. So once it's done, I'll show you the finished kit, and I'll see you in that in a moment. And here we have the completed kit. I was going to put it on the turntable, but as soon as it only turns that way, it doesn't really help, so I'm just going to wave it around at you. The base is the supplied base with it, but I've just literally just snapped it off the sprue and not done anything with it at all. It's still got some nub marks on it, but I'm not going to be using that in the final end game anyway. So yeah, all in all, I'm quite happy with it. A little red detail in the back there came out quite well, as did the little bits of gun work and the most important windscreen. So a little light weathering across all of it. Might have been a bit heavy in some places, but it does the job, and pretty much you're only going to see the top of it anyway, as I'm going to have it obviously flying in a diorama at some point. So that is, I say, completed the second in the video of the U-wing build, in which I've not actually built a U-wing yet. Next time, honest, the third part of the U-wing build is going to be the U-wing. So stick around for that. That will be coming up shortly, or not quite shortly, but soon. And as ever, thanks for watching. I hope you've enjoyed the build. I say that it's all snapped together, this one, no glue involved at all. The top doesn't sit quite right, but I might add a little bit of glue in there just to get that to bed down. But the wings will still move as and when if you need them to. They obviously have different attack positions. But yeah, a very fun build, as all of these Bandai ones are. Yeah, you can see there the top's actually started to lift off just that little bit just by flexing the wings. So I will put a little bit of glue in there before putting it aside. But yeah, the decals came out very well. I'm happy with them, and all in all, yeah, a good fun little build. So thanks for watching, and I'll see you soon for the next part, which is actually the U-wing, honest, I say, for sure this time. Thanks for watching, bye bye.